Think that you have found your dream home online. Well, sometimes there's a lot of red flags that you can pick up, even without leaving your couch. I'm going to let you know what those red flags are and how you can find them. Coming right up. So red flag number 1 is number of days on the market. You can tell how many days a house has been on the market from all those portals and from your realtor. And the longer that house has been up for sale, the more potential issues there are with that house. Let me pull up the MLS and let's look at it. Let's take a look at the number of days on market, and perhaps we can see why we should be worried about a house that's been on the market for too long. I'm going to pop into this house. This is a beautiful house. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's a very desirable neighborhood. Houses usually don't stay up for long. Some funky wallpaper in there. Very attractive. So yeah, this is a house that looks really, really nice. And let's take a look at the number of days on the market. And if you look at the number of days on market here, continuous days on market is 165 days. Guys, that's a lot of time. Here in the Charlotte area, if you have a house between $1 and $2 million and it's nice, that house won't last more than 30 days. Typically within 2 weeks, that house will go under contract. So why is this house still for sale? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the history. Okay, so you can do this on Zillow, Realtor.com. Trulia, you can typically find out when the house was last purchased. So the house was purchased here, closed in 2018, and it closed for $1.265 million. And it was put up for sale in June of 2024. So essentially 6 years at $2.3 million. It went from 2.3, then they lowered it to 225, then 2195. Now we're at 1995. Obviously, they started the house off too high. That's why it's not sold. If you overprice the house gets stale. People say, what's wrong with the house? And they don't go and take a look at it. Now let's take a look at the pictures from when it was for sale from 1265. So the house looks essentially the same as it did this. Still got that funky pink paper. So they haven't done any work to the house. They were looking to make a killing on it. And essentially the house is still for sale at 1995. And again, it's been on the market for 165 days. This house, brand new house, year built 2023. On the market, 375 days. Let's take a look at the inside of this one. So you've got power lines up in front here. Now, if you take a quick look right over here, this is your big factor. This street, this is a major street. That's why it's important to get someone who's familiar with the local market, a local realtor who knows what's going on. This particular house is right on a street called Providence Road. Inside the house is absolutely stunning, beautiful. But I know what they did was they took down a hill. They actually took down a hill where it snows here once every couple of years, and the kids would go down sledding. They took the hill, they knocked down the hill, and they built this house right on probably the most traveled road in all of South Charlotte, Providence Road. House is stunning. Worth every penny, but the location is a killer, guys. From the first picture, you see that? I don't even have to pull up a map. You can see Providence Road. The house is facing Providence Road. This is Providence Road. This is the front of the house. And yeah, that's why that house is a no-go. So you can find out that stuff from looking online or contacting a realtor in that particular area who knows the area and can tell you why that particular house at 165, which is worth it if it were located someplace else. So number of days on market is a red flag. So my second red flag is a house that was sold and came back on the market fairly quickly at a different price, probably a flip. And we're going to talk about flips. Let's take a look at some of the MLS action. Houses that have been on the market for a short period of time, but they had been sold and they reappeared very, very quickly, which makes me very skeptical. So here's a house selling for $1.1 million, again, in a neighborhood that I'm very familiar with, 3,000 square feet, 2,000 on the main, 955 up on top, so a ranch home. This house has been on the market for 30 days. This neighborhood, these homes do not stay on the market for 30 days. If it's a nice house, these homes sell within 7, 8, 14 days max, even in this market where it's not as hot as it once was. This neighborhood flies. Let's take a look at the inside of this house. Oh, it's beautiful. Nicely redone kitchen. Looks like it's staged. Nice new bathroom. So to me, this house looks like a flip. So let's take a look. Beautiful, beautiful house. So let's take a look at the history of this house. History on this house. So we've got a long history on this house. 2023, new listing 775, on the market 73 days. They kept reducing the price, and it was sold on 5/10/2024. So about 8 months ago, 7 months ago, for $615,000. $615,000. They're now selling it for $1.1 million. So this is a flip. Let's take a look at what it did look like. So yes, they've done quite a bit of work on it. Completely redid the entire house, opened up walls. So I have no problems with flips. However, people who are flipping houses, they are flipping houses to make money. They want to make as much money as possible, and you never know what's going to happen inside of a flip. Flippers can do very, very good work, make it look beautiful on the inside and the outside, but you don't know what happens with the guts of the house. This particular home, I mean, based on the way it looks, is gorgeous, right? So they've done tons and tons of work inside, removed walls. Now, we don't know if they've pulled permits. That's number one. So if you're going to go into a house like this, first of all, I'd get a couple of inspectors, not just one, but two. I would inspect the HVAC. I would inspect the electrical systems. Flippers like to cut corners, so they make everything shiny and pretty and nice and gorgeous. You go in and you fall in love and you buy the house, but you have to do your due diligence. Sometimes you have to do double due diligence with flippers. I would like to get receipts from the contractors as to what they did, to see if the contractors were actually licensed, to see if this particular person actually did any other flips. See if you can get a reference from the other homes that they have sold from the other flippers. So we've looked at the history of this house. Now let me go down to comments. Agent is owner. Okay, so the agent is actually the one who's doing the flipping. Let's look at the tax records. Tax records can tell a lot. You can look at all of this stuff online. Zillow should have it. Otherwise, contact your realtor and they can do it. So this was purchased in an LLC. So this is a flip, 100% of flip. And anything that's purchased in an LLC, you need to really think twice about. You've got to do your due diligence. You've got to do as much as you can to make sure that you're not getting ripped off. Because again, they're there to make money. And like I said, this is $500,000 they're trying to make on this house. They probably put in a substantial amount, but probably not $500,000. I'm going to take a look at the map. The map looks good. And I'm going to take a look at the history one more time. So another interesting thing here is that the house was under contract in 3 days, under contract show, and then it was back on the market. So at 10/26/2024, this house went under contract, and 11/7, it's back on the market, which means somebody went in there, had it inspected, and they backed out. So because the market is not as hot as it once was, what I would do is, again, I would get permits. I would make sure that everything was pulled. I'd get a reference from, they probably have done another flip, get a reference from the other house that they have flipped. Multiple inspections, radon, termite, you name it, I would do it. HVAC, roof, paramount to making sure that you're not getting ripped off. In addition, I know that this particular neighborhood got some work going on in the front of the neighborhood. It's going to block off this particular house for the next 6 months from the major entrance. So while that's not necessarily a drawback, there's side ways to get into the house. I would definitely look as to why this house was under contract and came back and is now on the market for 30 days. Homes in this neighborhood do not last for 30 days. Had another red flag with this particular house. So we showed you that it was $1.1 million. It went under contract in 3 days, active under contract show. Then it was back on the market in 1 week. Under contract show, back under the market as active. The house closed on 5/10/24. So in 5 months, 5.5 months, it was back on the market. But I want to go back a little bit further, and I want to show you that in 2020, this was the cost, price, $2,900. This was a rental as well. So in 2020, this was a rental. Then it was listed for sale in 2003, so it was rented for 3 years. And if you go back even further, in 2017, it was also a rental. It was a rental for $2,300. So 2017, rental, a problem, a red flag, $2,300. 2020, 3 years later, another rental. So it was rented again for another 3 years. And then it was listed for sale. The problem with a rental is the person who owns the home is not taking care of the house when there's a renter in there. Everything is neglected. So because everything is neglected and they sold it for cheap, for $615,000. These people turned around and flipped it for 1.1. We have no idea what is going on. That is a red flag. In addition to the fact that it came off the market, back on the market, that it came off the market and was being sold again in 5 months, and it was a rental. This is a triple threat. Now I'm going to show you what's going on in this neighborhood and show you how fast these houses sell. This one's been on the market for more than 30 days. In this particular neighborhood, I'm just going to go through some closed homes. So this one was sold in 7 days, and this was a dumpy house. This is going to be refurbished, obviously. We'll go to the next house, closed, on the market 1 day. Next house in this neighborhood, on the market 3 days. Next house that was closed, on the market 5 days. Next house, on the market 6 days. So that 30 days for that flipped house with somebody backing out is a huge, huge, huge red flag, no matter how pretty it is. Now, the third red flag that I can tell you about is if the pictures do not show the front of the house very well, they show the back, they show the pool, that means they potentially are hiding something. Let's take a look at an example. So houses that have a nasty picture up front or just show the back means that they potentially are hiding something. I'm going back to the same neighborhood where we have the flip, where there's only 5 homes for sale in this neighborhood. It's actually one of the biggest subdivisions in all of the Charlotte area. Again, the homes do not last long. There's 5 for sale right now. In the last 6 months, There have been 44 that have sold. In a normal market, there could be anywhere between 30 or 40. This neighborhood, house comes on the market, it's sold if it's good. So this particular house, so if we take a look at that front picture, that's the front of the house. I don't know. Let's take a look at the rest of the pictures. So where is the front of the house? Front of the house is over here. This is the driveway. This is the front of the house. A little weird. Let's take a look. Pictures. Looks okay inside. Floors look nice. Kitchen looks beautiful. They updated the kitchen. They did the floors in this room. Bathroom they didn't touch. So most of this house has been untouched except for, it looks like, floors. Now they're asking, this is a beautiful mustard. I love this color. This is great for your theater room, right? Yellow. Yeah, so they didn't do a lot of work on this house. This house looks like it's fairly original. And they're asking a premium. They're asking $1.8 million. So let's look at the backyard. You've got this, looks like built up situation here. Looks like it's going downhill into the forest. It's a nice forested block. I actually know the block very well. It's an ugly block, but a forested block nonetheless. Going down the stairs. This is going to be your backyard area. And then look at that picture. So your backyard just kind of drops off into no man's land. So if you got kids, you're not going into this house. So yeah, so look at that weird picture up front, weird front. This house, $1.8 million. So the picture kind of gives you a tip. Now let's look at the number of days on market. 126 days on market. That's, like I told you before, this neighborhood is 7 days. If it's a bad house, maybe 14 days, something wrong, I don't know, 30 days. Let's take a look at the history of this house. So the history of the house, they have not reduced the price of this house since they put it on the market, which is 4 months ago, which means either you have an unreasonable seller, somebody who's just wants to get what they want to get, and they're just not budging on their price. They may have gotten offers for lower, may not have taken them. They may have gotten no offers. I don't know. But there's definitely reasons why this house, suspect from the picture, suspect from the number of days on market, suspect for the fact that they haven't reduced the price at all to sell it. The other thing I'm looking at here is on the main level, they've got 2,882 square feet. And a basement, no upper, no middle, no nothing, and a basement of 2,500. So you've got a basement house. Basement square footage is not as valuable as middle, main, or third, or upper. So they've only got 2 levels. Most of it's basement. I would stay away from this house, especially since they're not budging. Now, a couple of things that I have to say. So when you're looking at a flipped home, when you're looking at a home that has a lot of days on market, if it's a home that has potential or it's something that you really like, there may be a reason that the house is still available that has nothing to do with the fact that it's bad. It may be bad marketing. It may be something that can be fixed and it is salvageable. And when I see houses like this that are like the flipped house that I talked about, and we go through it and we see that everything looks fine and it checks out, this is when I start to salivate for you, because a house that's been on the market and has been sitting there and someone is paying mortgage on, this allows me to go in there and negotiate like an animal for you, to the point where we get a house that may be phenomenal, may have a couple of defects, but we can get a phenomenal deal on houses that have been sitting on the market. For me, that's my favorite thing to do, is to find that lion or that tiger or that diamond in the rough. I guess it would be diamond on the rough, diamond in the rough. If it's a diamond in the rough, or it's a diamond and it just hasn't sold and there's no reason, a guy like me goes in there and loves to get you a phenomenal deal. Recently, I had people come in from out of town. They moved to Charlotte. Long story is that they had a $2 million budget, couldn't find them a house, found a house for $2.3 million that fit all their needs. And the house had been sitting on the market. Looked up the history. It was owned by an ex-NFL football player who had moved on. Essentially, we lowball them to the point where I lowball them. And I said to my guys after talking to the other agent, it's like, if we come in at this price, I think we can get the house. And lo and behold, we got the house for $300,000 less than what they were asking because the house was sitting on the market. A phenomenal house. I mean, 8,500 square feet, unbelievable backyard. Needed a little bit of fixing up, but a steal. Anyway, that's what I'd love to do for you. So sometimes those houses can be diamonds. Days on market, bad pictures, houses that came off the market, were sold and are back on the market very quickly, things that went under contract and are back on the market. Those are all red flags. Those are things that you can find out looking at Zillow, Realtor.com, or calling your realtor. And if you're looking for a realtor in the Charlotte metro area, dealing in high-end luxury homes, custom homes, new home construction, or in parts of South Carolina, my name is Eli Magids, and I got you covered over here. Feel free to reach out. And if you're not coming to Charlotte, because not everyone's coming to Charlotte, but you're making a move, you're leaving Austin, Texas, and you're coming to Charlotte, or if you're going from Austin, Texas, and you're going to California, or you're going to Idaho, and you need expert advice, I have some of the best experts at my fingertips. Feel free to reach out. I can put you in touch with them. It's very, very easy for me to do the heavy lifting for you. Thank you so much for watching, and until we see each other again next time.